to Unapologetically Fierce with Faythe, brought to you by CKJ Live. This is a safe place where my beloved tribe members and I put anything and everything on the table and dish the unfiltered tea. We are not just a podcast, we are a movement. So get your favorite beverage on hand and enjoy the show.
Hi everyone, my name is Faythe and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Unapologetically Fierce with Faythe. And I can never forget my lovely co-hosts, also known as my amazing tribe. Hi. Hey everyone.
Hey there, Faythe.
Hey Kerri. And we have a special guest, a very special guest today, a fellow Charger of mine. Whoop, whoop.
Charger Pride.
Charger Pride all the way. He's a fellow Charger, Mike. Mike has a phenomenal organization, My Life Matters. We're actually talking about a kind of difficult topic, but I think that it's one that we have to talk about. And we've been itching. So this may not just be one episode. It may be 1, 2, 3, 4, wherever, until we kind of get our point across. And today's episode is called Being Black and Brown in America. But with Mike, we'll discuss his organization, being a Black man in America, raising a Black son in these times of civil unrest, and everything in between. Whew, I'm like, it's already heavy for me. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Faythe, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Kerri, for giving me the opportunity to speak with y'all today. Like you said, I don't think it's just going to be one. This might be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but
exactly.
A fellow Charger gives me a call, I'm going to answer.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No?
So excited.
It's crazy. I'm excited. Honestly, I don't even know where to begin because I'm so tired. Like, everything with social media, with, just turning on the TV. It's like, I'm just tired of I'm tired of these hashtags.
Right. Like
justice for, why in 2020, why should we have a hashtag for every single one? And I'm sure we're missing some, It's really, I'm just tired. Y'all feel me?
Yeah. All of it.
We're still begging, and we're still asking, and we're still trying to get a seat at the table, asking, folks to give us equality, to give us justice, to acknowledge us, to say, hey, we matter too. I mean, this is old.
It's real old. And then what gets me, and I don't know if this gets y'all too, but when folks say all lives matter, I'm like, hey, yeah, all lives do matter. But until Black people's lives matter, ain't nobody good,
Right. You gotta include everybody in that statement. But at the same time, we as individuals and everybody else has to acknowledge us as a Black person that we do matter. The all lives matter is like casts the bigger umbrella, but you can't forget about the raindrops that we're getting hit with. We do matter. And everybody needs to get on board. And if you don't get on board, we're going to roll over you.
Exactly.
But why do people think because we say Black Lives Matter, we're excluding that everyone else is important? We're not. We're just trying to focus and highlight on our needs and our issues right now because that's what's at the forefront. We're the ones being brutalized and killed. We're the ones facing this daily. We're not excluding anyone.
No, you can jump on the bandwagon. Right. Interestingly enough, this past week, I had someone, an acquaintance of mine, and she hit me up in my inbox, and she was asking me, but she was polite about it. She was like, Faythe, I understand, this. Can you kind of help me to understand about this civil unjust, about white privilege? And that's the thing. That's the cringing thing, because when you say white privilege, people become mute.
Right.
Those that talk a lot, they become mute.
Right.
Because they don't see it.
And I think they see it, and that's what makes them mute. They see it because they know that they're the recipient of the privilege, right? It's one thing to know that, hey, I have a Black friend or someone comes to my home and they're a minority or we're really good work buddies. It's another thing to really sit and absorb this and say, I've never been pulled over or felt under threat. I've never been harassed. I've never had someone block me from going to a barbecue. I've never had someone ridicule me over my hair. And then they realize, wow, the system that everyone is so opposed to is the system that I benefit from. That's a whole nother level to know that you benefit from it. You gained, your parents did, your grandparents did. And here we are still dealing with issues from that same said system that needs to be torn down. So I think it's really one of those things that folks are now saying, wow, this is uneasy for me.
And I will also add on the other side now, I'm getting a lot of inboxes from white people and other races saying, hey, Mike, I stand with you. I hear you. But now on the other foot, I have some brothers that are saying this doesn't bother me. This is not at my door. So, my thing with that is I can only focus on the ones that are on the train that's moving to the next stop, because some people, you can't change everybody. That's why I learned I can't change everybody. I can only focus on the ones that's on board. And those that really reach out to me and say, hey, Mike, I see what you guys are going through. I see the struggle, and I understand that it's been wrong, and I want to stand with you. I appreciate those more than anything else, because everybody's not going to stand with us, and that's even in our race.
And that's the thing. And I think it's funny that you brought that up, Mike. But before we get into that, because again, this is going to get real deep.
Right.
Introduce yourself, brother. Tell our crowd a little bit about you.
All righty. So I'm Michael Watson. As you said earlier, Faythe, I'm a former Charger, North Miami Beach Charger. I was actually born in Peterborough, England, an hour and 30 minutes out of London. Moved to the South Bronx when I was 6 years old. Lived on the New Jack City block, where people was riding down the bike on the stairs. That was my actual block that I used to have to grow up in. Then we moved to the Ives Dairy area, Ives Dairy Road. Aventura, went to school in Highland Oaks, went to North Miami Beach. After North Miami Beach, went to Alabama State University, Historical Black College University in Montgomery, Alabama, HBCU. So, I went to Alabama State University, which really helped me, because being born in England and living in New York, I really didn't get the full gamut of discrimination and racism. It was and in Miami as well, it's kind of segregated. You got to read between the lines.
Yes.
So then I came down, came back from college, came back to Miami, and started Little League coaching my son at the Little League football team. And, he's doing this thing and all of this. But then after a while, I noticed it was only about football. Nothing against the football players, but once the season's over, you see the kids next summer, and that wasn't enough for me. So then I started a nonprofit organization called My Life Matters, Inc., which is, in our neighborhoods where we're living right now, some of the kids, they don't understand their value of life. So since they don't understand their value and that we need them, my motto was, hey, listen, let's expose them and educate them, and they will find the right path. So we take them on field trips. During this time right now, during the pandemic, we use Zoom and social media to kind of keep those engaged. Like we just had a Zoom meeting 2:00 today with the University of Miami to talk about being a student athlete, a Black student athlete, and racism that some of the student athletes are faced with growing up, and how they can make a change. 2 weeks ago, we did a Zoom meeting with a police officer, a former Charger, Prince Wright, talking about how it is to be a Black man in a police department, and, not everything's right. A couple weeks from now, we got Senator Oscar Brayman coming on just to talk to the kids so they can understand this is how we make change. Because if they only seeing people looting on TV, they're going to think that's the way, and then they're going to lose their right of voting if they get arrested. So let's give them the right tools during this pandemic and using social media and technology to still kind of keep them engaged. It's just a passion that I had, because growing up, I tell people all the time, the best thing happened to me, I've never seen my daddy. So that made me feel a void of when I'm raising my son, everything that I seen good parents do or good coaches do or somebody, uncle, brother, I just took those little nuggets so I can instill it in the mind and make sure that I just don't do mine, that I do others as well, because, you know, unfortunately, I went down the wrong path, not really the wrong path, mistaken identity, not really mistaken identity, wrong crowd, wrong time. My best friend put a gun under my seat, and I ended up incarcerated. So what I learned from that, well, not for long now. I only did 6 hours. My mama bailed me out because that ain't for me.
Hey, it counts.
I had to get out of there. So, but I learned from that is I can't just focus on my kid. If I focus on my kid, he's still going to lose. But if I focus on his entire circle, now we're going to penetrate.
Yeah,
Amen.
definitely. Definitely. And I was even going to mention that, like, I see because we're friends on social media, and I see when you post stuff up about my life matters. Right. And like, I'm like, whenever I get an opportunity, I'm like, hey, you know, I have, you know, this bro, he's doing his thing, you know? And it's just like, but the question is, and like when you see people do that, like Father's Day just passed. A lot of people may not have had their, you know, unfortunately not had their fathers in their lives, or may not even have met them. But when I see you and Lil Mike, I'm just like, man, you are really, you know, like you're stern, but you stern with love, you know? Right.
He knows the love is there, but at the same time, like I told him, probably 2 weeks ago, I came in here, you know, went to Burger King, got him some food. I listened to him all day. I'm working 2 jobs, you know, got the nonprofit going on, and I'm just listening to him. I'm just listening. I had to pull him in. I said, listen, I'm sorry, man. I raised you wrong. Let me make sure I'm crystal clear now. Your hand is too soft. You know, like I gave you the easy pass because I didn't want to see you struggle. But no, at the end of the day, you got to see the struggle, because unfortunately, he's not able to see my struggles that I had previously, you know, so he could have learned from those little experiences I vision. He hears the stories of me getting kicked out of college, me being locked up, and, you know, the struggles of gaining employment to where I'm at now. But he never seen it. So, you know.
He didn't feel it.
Yeah, he's got to get it. He's got to get it on his own. I tell him, you can't live off of my fame, because my fame is mine. You got to get your own.
It's so funny you say that, because it reminds me, it's reminiscent of my Jamaican grandmother. Even my mother has said, if you don't listen, you must feel.
Right.
I know you guys have heard that. Like, you got to feel it. You got to feel it.
This, Mike, because this is everything you're saying just resonates with me. First of all, how old is your son now?
He's 13. He's 13, but 6'1" and wears a size 13 shoe, 57 pounds.
Oh yeah, he's a grown man, and I like that you said that, because look, in the eyes of everyone outside of your home, he's a grown man. He's not a young boy. He's not a young man. He's not an adolescent. He's not a teen. He's a grown ass man. Right. So yeah, I love that. But a lot of things you said resonated. Of course, we all have relatives in England. I love that we're both from New York too.
Right.
My father used to have a business between Bronxwood Avenue and White Plains Road, so I'm very familiar with the boogie. I'm from Long Island, and of course HBCU. So we all have so many things in common, and I love it that it takes a village, and that's the important thing. You can't take care of just your child. Right. It's their entire circle, because if they're well, then your son is well. Right. If you only look out for your son and the others are left hanging and dangling, your son will be sucked into that. I love it. It
goes into the same thing of the whole fight that we have right now. If, like, I have some friends, my color friends. Hey, you know, the blinds are on. The blinders are on. Oh, no, this has nothing to do with me because they have a good job, or, you know, they might support another political campaign or whatever. Oh, yeah, go back to Africa, this, that, and the third. Until it knocks on your door, you won't hear it.
And it will. And it will. And it may not be violence, and it may not be something that is devastating, but it may be unemployment. It may be a higher interest rate. It may be some family member. It may be poor health care. It may be some kind of situation that we are affected by because we are people of color and people don't really value us. But I love that. I love everything you said. But the most important thing I got from your message, and I feel the same sentiment. If you do not want to be on the train with me, it's all good. I'm moving forward. You could stay sleeping. You could be happy where you are. I'm not down with that. Like, you will be left behind in a minute.
Well, my line is this. The train's moving, and it's got another stop. Some will get off, and some will get on.
Exactly.
But trained as a conductor and an operator. Listen, the train's going to move, but the train don't go backwards.
Absolutely.
Ever.
Or if you can't, you may have someone talk about something that happened like 2 stops back. We're not going there. We're going forward.
Right.
What are we doing to get forward? I know that I've had those difficult conversations, and it comes to a point where, you know what, I'm not even going to have, like, you do. And the funny thing about it is that I hear it. I don't know if you guys hear that too. They're like, well, Faythe, you don't understand. Your parents are from, you're the parent of immigrants. Like your parents were born. And I'm just like, but I was born here.
Right.
Yeah.
And my parents came here. My grandparents came here, for like a better life. Like we all, and even though in Jamaica, it's out of many one people, it's different here. You either white or you're black.
Right.
Or light skin, black. That's it.
Right.
That's all the cops are going to see. That's all. And people think I'm militant because I say that. And I'm just like, no, real is real. You have George Floyd. Someone put a knee. Someone felt entitled to put a knee in his neck for 8 minutes, 4 to 6 seconds. People were replaying that. And I'm just like, that's a long time. 8 minutes?
Right.
And you feel entitled. Breonna Taylor, it's over 100 days. No, one person got fired in her sleep just because she's black.
Right. I went back to work after the pandemic opened up. We kind of opened up our career centers. The first guy saw me, said, "Hey, Mike, that George Floyd guy's got the same structure as you." I said, "Yeah." I know, man, this is real out here. And then, one of my friends on social media, I put a post up. He says, "Hey, Mike, I went to high school with him." It gets close. It gets real close. But I understand that I'm no different from nobody else, man.
None.
At any point in time. My son's not no different. Anybody in the group is no different. And that's my whole thing of, listen, like the police detective told him on the conference call 2 weeks ago, survive the encounter. No matter what it is, you got one thing to do. And football terminology, score the touchdown. Get back home. Because it's not going to be easy. But you got to get back home. Do what you got to do to get back home.
And those are the difficult conversations that people don't want to have. People don't understand. Like, I heard my mother the other day. She was talking to one of her friends, her white friends, and she was just like, I had to raise Faythe differently than you raise your daughter. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to, number one, we got to be better. We got to, we got to do better. Right. And people, hey, when people don't understand entitlement, it's when you could just walk up on the scene and be like, hey, I'm here. And don't do anything.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you 2 things. I had a conversation with my son about a week ago, and I said to him, listen, they're starting to lynch Black folks, and they've done about 6, some in Texas, California, I think New York. And I said, I really can't believe I'm telling you this in 2020, but I'm being really serious right now. I need to know, can you get emergency from your car, from your fob, or do you have to be in your car, number one? And can you call 911 from your Apple Watch? He's like, I could call 911 from my Apple Watch, and my fob can't call emergency only while I'm in my car. I said, well, make sure you always have your fob around you at all times. I said, because I always track you. I said, I will notice if you're in the same place for a very long time, and trust me, I will be on it. And I said, if you have your fob and your car is abandoned, at least I will raise flags. This is what I have to tell my 20-year-olds. And I also had to threaten him to say, you better be in this house at 10 o'clock. And if you're not in this house at 10 o'clock, we're going to have issues, and we're going to have to deal with because I'm afraid, because it can happen anywhere, because he is a young Black male, and because he's so, I won't even say naive, but he's so like innocent with things and non, trying to be in touch with what's crazy out there. He's just trying to be so neutral and just so normal and regular. And I'm like, no, buddy, your birthright didn't give you that normal and that regular, okay? It's already written over you, so you need to know how to protect yourself, and you need to know what you're up against. But they're lynching, I said, and trying to make 2, 3 adult males can overpower you. I don't care what you think. Let's be realistic. But if you're in your car, you need to know how to run them over and not feel anything about it. This is what I have to tell my kid.
Right.
So that he comes home, right? Isn't this crazy? And this is not the 60s or the 20s or the 1800s. This is today. This was last week, and he has it in text. Like, I need you to know, get all your strength and your stuff together. You're going to have to put that car in sport and hit the gas and don't feel nothing until you feel the bumps over all them wheels. And you come home and we'll deal with it. We will deal with it.
I had that conversation with my son and all of the kids. I tell them, listen, if you get pulled over with a police officer and you're in your car with your friends or just homeboys or whatever, don't call me. Hit record.
Yes.
Because calling me is not going to do nothing. I need you to hit record. And that's a sad thing, but that's the honest truth. Listen, do not call me. Every second matters. I need you to hit record and start recording the incident, because at any point in time, it can turn any way. And if you're calling me, it's a waste of time because I'm not recording it.
Exactly.
But that's one of those conversations that it kind of hurts. But it's
but it's real.
Listen, I need you to do what I'm telling you to survive.
Listen.
Well, Will Smith had something on his social media, and he was like, racism just didn't start. It's just being recorded. Like, you know, it's just being recorded.
Right.
And now
peace of mind days are gone. My peace of mind days were when my son and my daughter were in my stomach, and when they came out of me. And I was in charge of them for the first few years of their lives. And of course, we're way past that. I lost my peace when my son learned how to drive at 16, and he would drive my car from time to time with his friends until he went away to college, and then he would be more independent. So I no longer have peace, and I could only probably get peace again when my son is probably over the age of 40, and then he's considered older and no longer a threat. But now his son probably will be a threat, right, when he has kids. So he got pulled over about a year and a half ago. He went down to College Park without even me knowing, which is like 45 minutes away past the airport, driving back home and speeding, doing like 75 and a 65 or something to that effect, and gets pulled over. And he knew the drill, and he did actually really well. His friend in the passenger seat panicked, saw the blue lights, and his friend wanted to run. Mm-hmm. First of all, these kids don't have any weapons. They don't have any drugs. They weren't drinking. They did nothing wrong. His friend saw lights and was like, I'm out. Right. Cobb County Police, I'm sure y'all saw this on social media. He was one of the cops like about a year ago that said to this lady he pulled over, don't worry, you're fine. We only shoot Black people. So my son, my friend gets pulled over by Cobb County Police, says to my son, yo, I'm out. My son is like, what the F? Shut the hell up and sit right here. What are you doing? And when that encounter happened and they both came home in peace, I talked to his friend just like you would have, Mike. Like, that was my son. Like, we need to back up. We need to replay this. We need to figure out why you had that flight or fright reaction. What were you thinking? Do you not know you're going to get bullets in your back? Do you not know now they're going to bring dogs out? I'm like, what were you thinking? And this is a kid that's not that it makes a difference, but this is a kid who comes from a 2-parent household with a father in the house. My father's a teacher. His mother's a physical therapist. So he knows this stuff, but his natural reaction was to flee.
Right.
Suppose he did.
Right. That goes to the thing that I was saying earlier about my son when I came in from Burger King and I was just listening to him. And when I said, listen, I'm doing this wrong because if I wasn't with him and he gets pulled over, his mouth is going to get him into some situations that he can't get out of.
Exactly.
I'm there, it's all cool because daddy's there. But as he gets older, like just a minute ago, I was going to take him to the basketball court and let him go to the basketball court. If somebody comes up there, his slick mouth is going to get him in a situation. Yeah. He's not going to be able to cash on his own at this time. And it all goes back to the household base of making sure that it's instilled, but it can't just be instilled in your kid. Like you just said, Kerri, it's got to be in everybody.
Everybody.
It's got to be on the same playing field.
It has to. I had difficult conversations like when I moved back here. I moved back here like 7 years ago. And in Atlanta and in Georgia, it is very separate, just like it is down here, but it's a different kind of separation.
Right.
And I think the first time when Trayvon Martin got killed, and I, social media went crazy. And I remember, like, I cried. I was just like, seriously? Like, are we doing this?
Right.
You know, and I was just like, Black Power, Black Lives, you know, that was before Black Lives Matters. But I'm just like, no, because Trayvon could have been my son.
Right.
Yeah.
He could have been my cousin, a relative, anything. My friend's son, like, that's real. And I had someone tell me, they're like, man, you know, Faythe came back from Atlanta and she was just like, why is she so militant?
Right.
No, I'm not militant. Like, I went to, and I used that phrase. I was like, no, I went to Atlanta and I got woke.
Right.
That's right.
Going to the Civil Rights Museum, going to I remember my best friend from college. She lives in Montgomery. And I remember going to the Rosa Parks, the center, and like that stuff will move you.
Mm-hmm.
It will move you.
Right.
So, you know, it's like when anyone gets a flip at the lip, even family members, I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, you're Black, but you got to remember all, you know, like, if it wasn't for Black Americans, you know, if it was for, and we just got dropped off a lot earlier.
Right.
And it's like a story, but I hate having to give this history lesson. Right. And people are like, well, what are you talking about? No, because it's not in the history books.
Right.
Right.
You can Google anything. Google the transatlantic, you know, slave trade. You'll see. Mm-hmm. You will see.
Right.
It's his story. It's his story that he has, you know, cooked up perfectly, like a Disney movie. But this is not the life that we live, and we're still affected by all of it. You know, hundreds of years later, we're still affected by it. I mean, we're only one or two generations out of, you know, Jim Crow and all of the other discrimination laws. So we're still very much in it. Yeah, our kids may feel that they have made it or they're arrived or they're privileged, or some of our folks may, but we're not. And it's really rude. But Mike, about your organization, so how does a child get involved? How do you select someone, and you know, how many members do you have?
Well, My Life Matters. Right now, due to the pandemic, we are kind of in a virtual world. So you know, we're just bringing it to them in a virtual world. And at the end of the day, I always say, everybody matters. Everybody matters, because and when I lived in the Bronx, my next door neighbor who I played Super Nintendo with, Peter, he matters. On every football team that I played on, there was a Hispanic person. They matter as well. But it's everybody. If everybody understands their value, then you know we'll be a better organization. We'll be a better culture. We'll be a better workplace. So at any time, there is no requirement for My Life Matters. The window is open for everybody, especially now in the virtual world.
Yeah.
You know? So it started 4 years ago, but it was, you know, taking them. The first trip it started 4 years ago with the Houston shooting. There was a shooting, and the guy was shooting the Houston police officers. And my son told me, hey, Daddy, I'm scared of the police officers. I can fix that. I can easily fix that. I can take it to the police department and let you speak to officers and tell you how to handle it. So, okay, I took him. But then I said, hold on, who's taking the other kids that are coached? So instead of just taking one kid, let me fill up the car.
Yes.
So, you know, and it just kept on growing. So some kids might come to this event, some might not come to others. But our largest event was last year, September. We reached out to the Miami Dolphins, and the Miami Dolphins said, hey, this was their second year participating. I asked for 25 tickets to the Dolphins season opener. The Dolphins said, no, we can do better. We can give you 47.
Nice.
And you know, that's the thing, you know, and it doesn't cost me anything pretty much. You know, I sell the shirts, the My Life Matters shirts, to kind of raise the money, because I was a single mom. My mother's a single mom with 4 boys. I was the youngest. If somebody called my mother and said, hey, you know, I want to take Michael to a football game, it's going to cost you $30, Michael's not going. So let me just use the shirt sales to kind of offset, to make sure I'm not giving a hardship to the parents, and, you know, kind of making that situation for the kids. So just giving them that experience. But the payoff for me is when the kid, one of the kids after the Dolphins game, the first time, he was just throwing the ball up and he was just talking to himself. And, he got a free ball and he had a hat on. And he's like, hey, man, he's just talking to himself. This is the best day ever. I got to see the Dolphins game with his friends. He met some new people.
Yes.
That's it. And the thing about the Miami Dolphins, when they wrote the market value, they said priceless. The priceless experience that the kids are going to get. And then in every event that we go to. Now, we don't always go to great events. Sometimes we got to go hardcore. I took him to the gym. I took him to the prison.
I was just going to say that because I remember when you posted, and I think I was telling you, Kerri, about, that's why I was like, we got to have him on. Because I remember, y'all remember Scared Straight,
right.
The show.
Right.
And, when I remember when seeing your thing on your Facebook page, I was just like, oh, my goodness, Scared Straight. Because I know I've never, once you hear that behind, you just
right.
Yeah.
But now with every event, we always have the two sides of the tale. So listen, at the prisons, when we go to the jail tour, you can either wear the orange suit, which is an inmate, or you can wear the green suit, which is a corrections officer, where you can go in at 19 years old as a correction officer and retire at 45 with a full pension and make over $100,000. Even when we go to the Dolphins game. Hey, listen, I got you in this section. You went to the game for free. If you want to play, you get on the field. I got you in the building. You kick down the door. And that's the way of, just the exposure. That, hey, it's not always just a bad angle. Yeah. Let's kind of flip it sometimes because everybody's not going to make it to the NFL. But let's get some other paths or the NBA or sports. Let's use the sports as a tool to get you where you and your family are going to be set up for the rest of your life.
Yeah, or even paying it forward as far as man, I remember, Mr. Mike, whatever they call it, I remember when he set that up, you know what, that did so much for me. Now I'm older, I have kids, or I may not even have kids. Let me do that. Let me and still pay it forward.
Right.
The exposure changes their environment and allows them to start to think and then dream and hopefully then believe. It's a 3-step process. They eventually have to believe it for themselves and they'll work toward it. But getting them to start thinking about something else and dreaming about something else helps bring everything closer. So I love that.
Right.
It's just opening their minds to something different, And
as Faythe knows, especially on my son, listen, I got to push the envelope more than he never thought. Hey, it's kind of rough, but hey, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, let's go. 6:40 in the morning, we're running to the stadium. We're going to do 3 miles. We're going to work out. After the workout, you're going to read 30 pages. As you read the 30 pages, every page you're going to do 10 push-ups because I don't care about your physical brain, your muscle. I need this muscle to be working.
Yes.
And if this is working, and everything's going to click.
Absolutely. And the thing that you're instilling in him now at 13, he'll remember at 19, 20,
right.
21,
that's 25. A fact.
Right.
So you're putting in seeds to where his future wife will reap. Be like, well, thank you.
I'm reaping it now because we've been doing it for so long. On Father's Day, hey, you know what? I don't cook at the house. Hey, go in there and make some spaghetti. Go in here and make some chicken wings and fries. I'm gonna be there to guide you. Cut the bones up. Cut it. Let's get it going. Because at the end of the day, it's my job to make sure you're self-sufficient.
Absolutely.
You're dangerous. You're good to go. What do you need? You need somebody. You got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They learn, and you don't realize that they're absorbing it and it's getting in them, but they learn by seeing us, not by what we say to them, but by seeing us do it. And eventually it becomes a part of them. And one day he'll just be surprised. My son, as I said, is so neutral. And, I've just been waiting for him to be on fire for a lot of this blackness stuff. But as he gets older, he really is. And I'm like, oh, wow, it's in him. It's kicking in, but it's so there. I mean, how can it not be? But it finally happened. But my 12-year-old, she's just on fire and even more naturally. I call her my little Asiatic black woman. Her middle name.
She's your mini you. She's like
her middle name is Asian. I'm like, oh my God. I said, why did I name you that? Because you're so Asiatic. But She's amazing. She already has that, but my son has walked into it naturally, which I love. It wasn't forced, and it was more of him being mature and what life has shown him instead of him just listening to me and following. My daughter's probably just listening to me and seeing it, but she is 12. I want to still protect her and guide her and let her know not everything is bad. Not everything is bad. Not everything is harmful. However, this is what reality looks like while she's still under my care. But we need to guide them with love, and we need to show them with everything we have to make sure that they're safe and that they're well.
Well, let me go into this one because this is, I actually posted this one earlier this week. There's two type of people in the world. There's get it's and got it's.
Mm-hmm.
Get it's and got it's. Me, I'm going to get it. Anything I wanted, I had to go get it. Nobody's going to give me nothing. I got to get it. I got to go the hard way and get it. The issue that I had with my son is I was raising a got it. Anything he wanted, he got it. Oh, you want this new PlayStation, TV, you want the new speakers, you got it. No problem. The issue is when adversity hits the got-its, they fold.
Yeah.
Crumble.
Right. So we got to make sure, and that's on me because I didn't give him the hard life. He reaping what I sowed already, but it's like, hold on now. Let's slow down a little bit. You got to get it on your own because as soon as you leave this nest, the streets are cold. Oh, listen, we're fighting black on black crime. We're fighting black on white crime. We're fighting, and it's not going to stop. And if he's not ready for the fight, he's going to get knocked out.
He's going to lose. But isn't this a natural progression? Isn't this how it normally happens? For instance, we are a get it because of how our parents were. Our parents believed they gave us a got it, but we were a get it because our parents perhaps didn't know. So you applied probably to Alabama State. You were the one when you were in the Bronx was like, I'm probably going to get this job. Your mother didn't come home and hand you this or a referral, right. But you were a get it because of how the parents were. The parents thought you were a got it because they're like, he's doing better than me. I'm going to give him the opportunity. But we were a get it. For instance, with me, I applied to my schools. I did my SATs. I just like, Mom, I need the money. I know what I was doing. I went and got my summer job. My parents were then informed by me. Now these kids, because we went and we were the get-its, we gave it to them. They became the got-its. So now they have more of a silver spoon. And we're like, what the heck? You're soft. Like, how did I make you?
Exactly.
I'm so sufficient and independent. Like, my son will say to me, what's the weather? I'm like, are you serious? Like, Google it. He'll say things like, what do you think about this? How do I do this? I'm like, are you for real?
Right.
Dude, how did I make you like this? This is not how
Google could be your best friend. Like, right. Just Google it. Google.
Like, how did you fix your mouth to say that? But isn't this what naturally happens, though? The get-its make got-its?
You got it.
We do. And then they learn, and then they toughen up with their kids a little bit. And the cycle changes, and then their kids get slack with their kids, and you get more got-its. But, I mean, it is what it is. We have to just step in and make sure they're balanced.
Right.
Definitely.
More opportunity, stronger education, more exposure, more honesty, less fallacy and Disney World fairy tale, but protected and safe in our bubble. But this is what the real deal is. It's balance.
Well, let me give you this personal example that actually just happened to me yesterday, and my son saw it. It was one of those things. Like, hey, like I tell everybody, I said, listen, I'm a man full of dates, and the dates that I'll never forget, but they're stained on me, but they make me. They're what made me. So, my current organization, I've been doing workforce development for 19 years. My current organization, I've been there 14 years. So the CEO retired after 44 years. So, okay, everything's looking good. Okay. Everybody's sending messages. Mike, boy, get ready for the move. Now there's 2 people over me. So I'm like number 4 in the ranking. Okay.
Yeah.
So number 2 moves to number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 moves to number 2.
Yeah.
The new number 2 calls me and says, hey, listen, due to you being doing your job well and you're a single dad, we think it's best that you stay in your current role and we hire outside.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
You know, but like I told my son, I said, listen, I'm going to tell you, man, this is a stain. This is a day that I will never forget. But I understand that, hey, listen, all qualifications, been doing the job, you know, I'm next in line, everybody.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But I understand that, hey, listen, I can't hide it from him because he's no different. You know, he might get hit with the same card. So that's why I said, that's why I push you now.
That's
because
right.
either you're the man or you're the man working for the man.
That's right. Helping his dreams come true.
Right. So now we got to make sure that, hey, listen, I'm not playing with you because, like I said, they're not going to play once you leave the house. Nobody cares about how good you are on 2K.
Yeah.
Thank you. And no one cares if you follow the blueprint perfectly by script. At the end of the day, they see a black male and you probably will get shot down.
Right.
My son in college, I know what he wants to do. Of course, he loves basketball and he's even playing that in school and everything. And I said, all that is great and dandy. Basketball to me keeps him off the streets, keeps him motivated, focused, keeps him healthy, keeps him engaged. I'm like, but that's not going to solve it. And I'm like, NBA is a dream. One out of how many millions make it there? I'm like, so we could forget that. However, I had him and my daughter start their own business last week. I said, here's the money, get things going, get a website, come up with your name. I'll pay for the registration of your business, right? We're supposed to be talking to the logo people Monday. Get your logo, do everything right. My husband has them into stocks. You know, here's a couple dollars, see what you could do, you know, see what the economy is looking like. I don't want another worker bee. Parents raised me to be a worker. Go to college, get your profession, go depend on some person to feed you and clothe you and help you, then you retire and you get to rest. No, I don't need any more worker bees. What I need are now creators. I told my son, my daughter, you guys are in charge of how you eat and how you sleep. So let's start early. You could start small. No one's putting stress on you, but you're going to learn how to be self-sufficient. You're not going to be dependent on anyone to eat. That's it. And that's where we are.
That's great. And that's one of the reasons, again, why I started this thing. I'm like, it's a movement. It was an idea. And it's just like, no, we got to go with it because these are uncomfortable conversations nobody wants to have.
Exactly.
We think that, it's like an encyclopedia, like A through Z. You do that. But no, life is not like that. Life is not a straight, road. Like,
but look at us. Yes, we did everything we were told, right? We all went to college. We got this degree, whether we finished it or not. We had the experience. We became articulate. We know how to blend and be flexible in the work environment. Corporate America kicks us in the ass. I got married. I have the 2.5 kids and a picket fence and a freaking house in the suburbs. And I've been married for 20 years. Come on, what am I getting? Shit. I have to realize and figure out how are we going to retire and take care of our needs and take care of our kids that probably get our grandkids. So that's what we have to do. I can't depend on a 401k or IRA, a CD, a stock purchase, money, equity. No, I have to figure out how we're going to do it. The way this economy goes, we know every 8 to 10 years it crashes, right? 2008, we had the financial fall when the whole homeowner thing fell out. Before that, we had 9/11. Before that, in the 90s, it happened. I remember in the 80s, my parents crying about what Reagan was doing. So we know that's inevitable. We have to make sure that our kids are well. Like, I see my son buying $70 sweatshirts. I'm like, why are you buying that when you could make it? Sure, he doesn't want to make it because he wants to buy it.
Right.
But I'm like, you don't have to what you purchase. However, make it and someone else may purchase it. Get some money in your pocket.
Right.
Stop spending our money outside of the home. Keep it in. Right. So that's what I'm trying to retrain their mind a little bit and open up that entrepreneurial spirit. Because to me, that's the key. Multiple streams of income. Faythe knows I say this every single episode on financial independence because it gives you freedom. It really gives you freedom.
It does.
But you could wake up and my stuff is okay. And no matter what hits the fan, COVID, a new disease, aliens coming down, presidents locking stuff down, governor. And hey, I could pay my bills and I'm good. You feel good.
Right. And then I would also add in that just making sure that you're mentally and physically in shape. And I wasn't, I'm going to tell you, after that picnic, Faythe, I took a slack. I was tired after the North Beach picnic.
You worked hard on that.
Yeah. It was too much. So that I walked away from that and said, let me focus on my life matters. But then at the end of the day, I can't, just like I said in one of my videos, Just like the airplane, when the stewardess comes out and she says, hey, the mask dropped, I got to put my mask on before I can reach back and help anybody else. So
Amen.
Once I get my mind right, and now I know that my life matters. Once I understand that my life matters, then I can go back and reach and help somebody else.
Exactly.
But I just got to make sure that, okay, mind, body, and soul, I'm all connected and moving in the right direction with financial stability.
You said it. It's holistic, and I forgot to put that part in. It's a holistic approach. I believe in that. I believe in the mental health piece. I've asked my children. I mean, I gave my daughter L-theanine for her to have more balance in her brain so that she feels less anxious and she's settled, because she plays tennis. And I noticed at times she has this mean mug, and I'm like, why are you so like angry? And she's just like, I'm not. I'm like, oh, that's anxiety. That's what it looks like on her.
Right.
I said to my son, do you need to talk to a psychologist? Are you okay? What's going on? Let's talk. But yes, we're plant-based. I believe in the health. I believe in the mental part, the emotional piece, the spiritual piece. Are you well? Are you connected? Do you have peace in your mind and your soul? Are you financially whole? And are you? Yes, it's a whole piece. And if one of them is out of whack, we have a problem.
Right. And you got to understand that they also got to understand that there's a struggle. Struggle's going to come. Something's going to happen. An earthquake's going to hit personally, and it's going to rock their whole world. But you know, they're like superheroes. Superheroes with kryptonite. You're going to make it through if you keep on pushing. But you can use the same formula that you used before.
Yeah.
You got to switch
it up. You got to switch it up at all times.
And get back up.
Right.
Whatever that, just get back up. You'll be okay. You know, life will be okay. You will make it. I love it. But yeah, it's about the balance. It's big. This is huge.
Definitely. But guys, thank you. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you for, another great episode. It was Mike. Thank you, because it was great learning about your organization, and talking about fatherhood, the overall male perspective, Kerri and Mike, that was really good because you both have sons. So it's like you're both invested in this. I hope we've gained a friend to the show because you will be back.
Just send the message. We'll go from there.
You will be
having me on, ladies.
It was amazing.
Will be back. Thank you, listeners. This is Faythe, and you've just listened to another episode of Unapologetically Fierce. We are not a podcast, just a podcast. We are a movement.
Thank you for joining us at Unapologetically Fierce with Faythe, brought to you by CKJ Live. Come back and visit again to hear more of the unfiltered tea that we are ready to dish. And remember, we are not just a podcast, we are a movement.